Hi Team Grade 5, welcome to another edition of Grade 5 Science. Today we'll be doing a science review. I'm your host, Miss Aliyah Brewster Dover, and today I'll be guiding you through some multiple choice questions related to body systems. But just in case you're not feeling motivated, remember the words of Marie Curie. Nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less. With that being said, grab a pencil and a notebook, get settled, we're about to start. Here are some tips to help with answering multiple choice questions. The first tip, and the obvious one, read the entire question, okay? Read the entire question. Second, use the process of elimination. The process of elimination means you cross out all the answers you know are certainly not the correct answer. You're dead certain those could never be the answer. And then focus on the remaining answers. And the last one, select the best answer. It is important to select the best answer to the question being asked, not just an answer that seems correct. Often, many answers will seem correct, but there is typically one best answer to the question that will allow you to get that question correct. Okay? Now let's dive into it without further ado. The first question, in which body system would you find the aorta? I repeat, in which body system would you find the aorta? And here are our options. We have A, digestive, B, nervous, C, excretory, and D, circulatory. If you're not too familiar, you can't remember what these different body systems look like, here are some images of the different body systems. Okay, the first one is the digestive, and you notice the digestive involves eating and digesting food, okay? Next, we have the nervous system. Then we have here the excretory system. And lastly, the circulatory system. Now, looking at those diagrams and observing the various parts, which body system would you find the aorta? The circulatory system is the best answer. Okay, so if you guess that, you are correct. Let's move on to question 2. The kidneys are responsible for the removal of... The kidneys are responsible for the removal of what? Is it A, carbon dioxide, B, oxygen, C, harmful bacteria, or D, urine? Just in case you need a refresher, here is the basic function of the kidney. The kidneys are 2 bean-shaped organs, each about the size of a fist. They are located just below the rib cage, one on each side of your spine. Healthy kidneys filter about half a cup of blood every minute, removing waste and extra water to make urine. So what is the correct answer? It is D, urine. So the kidneys are responsible for the removal of urine. Question 3. One sense organ of human is, here are our options. A, teeth, B, hairs, C, skin, and D, lungs. All right, here are the sense organs. Remember, the sense organs allows us to do what? They allow us to see. So that means the eye is a sense organ. They allow us to taste. This means the tongue is also a sense organ. They allow us to smell. This means the nose is a sense organ. They also allow us to hear. This means the ear is a sense organ. And they also allow us to touch. This means the skin is also a sense organ. So let's look back at our options. We have A, teeth, B, hair, C, skin, and D, lungs. The correct answer there would be C, skin. Okay, that's the only sense organ that's there. Good. Now let's move on to question 4. Which is not a major organ of the human body? Which is not a major organ of the human body? Here are our options. We have A, eye, B, lung, C, heart, and D, kidney. Now, I don't know about you, but this question had me a little puzzled because in my mind, I'm thinking all of those organs are important. However, you have to look at that key word. It says, which is not a major organ of the human body. You see, humans have 5 vital organs that are essential for survival. These are the brain, the heart, the kidneys, the liver, and the lungs. Okay? So back to our options. We have A, eye, B, lung, C, heart, D, kidney. So all the others are major organs, but the only one that is not a major organ there is A, eye. Okay? And when I was reviewing this question, I thought to myself, is it possible to survive without your vision? Yes, it is. That's why it's not a major organ. But it's an important organ, not to be mistaken. Good. Question 5. If all of Sita's incisors are missing, which would be a difficult task for her to do? Is it A, bite a banana, B, tear meat from a bone, C, chew peanuts, or D, crush boiled chana? Now this question it's calling for us to think critically, okay? So let's go back to knowledge. We know that we have 4 types of teeth. So the first one would be the incisors, and these are located to the front of the mouth. So when you flash your bright smile, these teeth that you're seeing in front here, they're chiseled shape. Those are called the incisors. Now, we have the canine. They're located just after the incisors, both at the top and the bottom. Okay, they're pointed in shape. Then we have the premolars, which comes just behind the canine. And then we have the molars, which are at the back. All right. So the function of these teeth, let's look at each function. The first one is the incisor. The function of the incisor is biting of pieces of food, okay? So it allows us to, bite. So imagine how Sita look with no incisors. Oh. Okay. Canine, The canine allows us to also bite, but they're also shaped pointedly because they allow us to also kind of tear, you know? So the premolar, it allows for tearing and grinding of food, while the molar allows for chewing and grinding of food as well. Now, with that being said, which one of these tasks you think Sita would not be able to do because she has no incisors? I were to guess, I would say A, bite a banana, okay? Because the incisors are used for biting. The other options like tearing meat, chewing peanuts, and crushing boiled chana are all functions of the premolars and the molars. Okay, so she can still do that, but biting a banana would be difficult. Good. Let's move on to question 6. One body organ that is found in the excretory system is the what? Is it A, stomach, B, liver, C, esophagus, or D, kidney? Okay, let's look at an image of the excretory system and a label of each organ. So I want you to take a moment, look at it, examine it, and tell me which one of those body organs can be found in the excretory system. If I were to guess, I would say the kidney. That's the best answer there, okay? The kidney is the main organ of the excretory system. Great. Let's move on to question 7. It says, which vital organs are protected by the structure labeled X? So here's the structure labeled X, and if you notice, that is the rib cage, okay? The rib cage. Now, which vital organs are protected by the rib cage? We have number 1, heart, number 2, brain, number 3, lungs, and number 4, kidney. Let's look at our answers. The first one, A, is heart and brain. That's not right. B, brain and lungs. No, that's not right neither. C, lungs and kidney. Not right. D, heart and lungs. Ding, ding, ding. That's the correct answer. The correct answer is heart and lungs. Good. Now let's move on to question 8. For this question, we have to study the diagram of the body organ below, then answer the question. Okay? So the question is, the organ above is directly associated with what? Okay, so looking at that organ is the heart. It's the heart, okay? Good. Now, which system is that organ directly associated with? A, circulation, B, respiration, C, excretion, or D, reproduction? correct answer for that question would be A, circulation. Question 9. Nerves takes messages from all parts of the body to the number 1, brain, number 2, heart, number 3, spinal cord. Now this question is a bit tricky, so let me give you a brief explanation on what are the functions of the nerves, okay? Sensory neurons transmit nerve impulses from sense organs like the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, and the skin to the brain. They also carry nerve impulses to the brain and the spinal cord. Motor neurons transmit nerve impulses from the brain and the spinal cord to a specific area of the body. Okay, so with that being said, we heard two words there being used quite often. That is brain and spinal cord, okay? So the best answer to that question would be D, the brain and the spinal cord only. Good. Let's look at number 10. One way in which the body gets rid of waste products is by A, perspiring, whew, B, dieting, C, walking, or D, inhaling. One way in which the body gets rid of waste product is by perspiring, okay? When we perspire, that liquid that comes out is waste. Number 11. The womb is an organ of the something. The womb is an organ of the something. Is it A, reproductive system, B, digestive system, C, excretory system, or D, respiratory system? Okay, so what exactly is the womb? In case you're not familiar, the womb is a hollow, pear-shaped organ in a woman's pelvis. The womb is where the fetus or unborn baby develops and grows. The womb is also called the uterus. So knowing what the womb is, can you now guess which organ is the womb a part of? You heard the word baby. Good, so the correct answer there would be A, reproductive system. Now let's move on to number 12 and tell me if you see some similarities in number 12 and number 11. There's a reason why I brought this question. Listen to it. The uterus is an organ of what system? The uterus is an organ of what system? And look, the options are the same. Is it A, reproductive, B, respiratory system, C, excretory system, or D, digestive system? Remember we said the womb and the uterus are the same thing? So this is what they do. Sometimes in the exam they may rephrase a question. However, you can see that the answer remains the same because uterus and womb is the same thing, okay? So the answer is A, reproductive system. Good. Let's move on to question 13. Tom quickly withdrew his hand when he came into contact with a hot pot. Which system of the body caused this reaction? So I'm pretending I'm Tom. This is the hot pot. Ouch! Which system you think is responsible for that action or that reaction? Is it A, respiratory, B, circulatory, C, excretory, or D, nervous? The answer there is nervous. Remember, the nervous system takes information from our sense organs, including our eyes, nose, tongue, ear, and skin. So whenever we touch or see something, it sends an impulse to the brain. And all of that fancy mechanics is directly responsible by the nervous system. Okay, so the answer there would be D, nervous. Now, question 14. New life is produced by the process called what? New life is produced by the process called what? Now listen to these answers, okay? Because two of them are quite similar. We have A, reproduction, B, germination, C, respiration, and D, pollination. So to help you answer this question, I'm going to give a brief explanation of each of those processes. So first, reproduction. Reproduction means to produce. It is a biological process by which an organism reproduces an offspring who is biologically similar to that organism, okay? Germination. Germination is the growth of a seed into a young plant or a seedling. Respiration is the process of gaseous exchange between the air and an organism's cells. And the last one, D, pollination is an act of transferring pollen grains from the male anther of the flower to the female stigma of the flower. The goal of every living organism, including plants, is to create offsprings for the next generation. Good. With all of that being said, what is the answer? New life is produced by what process? So for me, if I were in your position, I would have been struggling between reproduction and germination because both of them have somewhat of a similar function. However, the best answer there, new life, the best answer there would be reproduction. Question 15. Which of the diseases below is transmitted through sexual intercourse? Which of the disease below is transmitted through sexual intercourse? Here are our options. A, malaria, B, cholera, D, typhoid, and D, syphilis. Now, you may not be familiar with what any of those diseases are. So I'm going to do a brief explanation here again. Malaria is a serious and sometimes fatal disease caused by a parasite that commonly infects a certain type of mosquito which feeds on humans. Good. So this disease is transmitted through mosquito bite. Next, cholera. Cholera is an infectious disease that causes severe watery diarrhea, which can lead to dehydration and even death if untreated. It is caused by eating food or drinking water that is contaminated with a bacteria. Let's look at number 3. Typhoid fever is a bacterial infection that can spread throughout the body, affecting many organs. It is caused by a bacteria. The last one, syphilis is a bacterial infection usually spread by sexual contact. Ding, ding, ding. There we have it. Syphilis is the disease that can be transmitted through sexual contact. So our answer would be D. Question 16. Which is the correct pathway for sperm when they are released during sexual intercourse? Which is the correct pathway for sperm when they are released during sexual intercourse? Okay. All right. I know you're probably laughing right now, but let's get serious. The first option, we have from the testis to the sperm duct to the urethra. B, from the testis to the urethra to the sperm duct. And C, from the urethra to the testis to the sperm duct. And D, from the sperm duct to the urethra to the testis. If you did not know this, sperms live in the testis. Okay, so now that you know that, we can eliminate C and D because those two processes do not begin with the testis. Okay, so that's out. Now we're looking at A and B. All right, so it begins in the testis, and then it is during ejaculation, it moves up the sperm duct to the urethra and then out. Okay, so the correct answer there would be A, from the testis to the sperm duct to the urethra. Let's move on to question 17. What is the main function of the circulatory system in humans? Is it A, to eliminate water from the body? B, moves the body from place to place? C, transports blood between the heart and the lungs only? Or is it D, transport blood between the heart and all parts of the body? Okay, so you see the difference between C and D? C says it's to transport blood between the heart and the lungs only. And that is not the function of the circulatory system. It transports blood between the heart and all parts of the body. Good. Question 18. Which of the following is or are a part of the male reproductive system? Is it A, vulva, B, uterus, C, testis, or D, ovaries? here we have an image of a male reproductive system. So at the top, that little tube is called the vas deferens. Then we have the penis, the urethra, the testis, and the scrotum. Well, testis and scrotum are somewhat interchangeably the same thing, okay? So, with that being said, which one of these options did you see in that diagram? You saw C, the testis. So that's the correct answer. Let's move on to question 19. By working together, the heart and the lungs supply all body parts with a steady supply of what? Is it A, water, B, oxygen, C, cool air, or D, carbon dioxide? It is B, oxygen. The heart and the lungs work together to provide the body with oxygen. Number 20. What happens to the human body when someone engages in physical exercise? Is it A, less energy is needed, B, the heart beats faster, C, more oxygen is produced, and D, less carbon dioxide is produced? Okay, so the correct answer there would be the heart beats faster. So when you're engaging in any physical exercise, if you feel your chest afterwards, you see your heart is moving at a fast rate. So that's the correct answer there. Okay, boys and girls, that has brought us to the end of another lesson. Remember the words of Marie Curie: nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. So if you're not quite familiar with some of these topics, feel free to rewatch the videos about those topics, or you can revise using your past paper book or your textbooks. Once again, boys and girls, thank you for tuning in, and goodbye.